Hi everyone. This video is about the basic factors of ethical individualism. It will help us to understand the question, what is an ethical individualist? The first basic factor is the capacity for intuition. People vary in their capacity for intuition. In some, ideas bubble up easily, while others acquire them with great difficulty. Whether our knowledge is superficial or whether we are able to grasp a deeper level of reality depends on our power of intuition. It is our intuition that makes things intelligible. You may notice intuition at work while you are observing something. You gain more focus and ignore the immediate familiar thoughts that normally rush to mind. You wait for something new and deeper to arise. Some people are more spontaneous and can just start talking or writing creatively with little effort. Others struggle with endless rethinking to get it right. Some people get big insights. For myself, every big step in knowing was the result of having grasped 1,000 smaller steps. It is helpful to notice when you have a flash of insight compared to normal, everyday thinking. I can still remember the first time I became aware of a thought that seemed like it was coming from someplace else. Intuition is our teacher. It is a deeper being within us. It guides us, not by faith, but in the clarity of comprehensible truth. The second basic factor is life situations. The life situations of people that provide the setting for their action is also very different. Every situation is different, so the best solution cannot be learned in advance. A child is upset. He needs more than a hug. His situation needs to be understood. Is he sick? Did he bump his head? Did he swallow something? Observation and thinking analysis will lead to an intuition that tells us what the child needs in that moment. The third basic factor is the functioning of intuition. How a person acts will depend on the way his intuition functions when he is faced with a particular situation. It was discovered that the child lost his bear. If our intuition functions slowly, we will be unable to deal with an immediate crisis. If we become emotionally upset or confused so we can't think, we will be in trouble. If we don't discipline our thinking and improve our intuition, we won't move forward. If our intuition is functioning in a healthy way, we will be dealing with reality. The good news is that we can cope with reality, but we cannot cope with the scary fake reality created by the media or even ourselves. The fourth basic factor is effective ideas. The total of effective ideas within us, the actual content of our intuitions, makes up what is individual in each of us despite the universality of ideas. Our intuitions are the first appearance of thought in its pure form. They are universal thoughts. These universal thoughts are effective in that we fully comprehend them in a clear, simple way. This makes them ready to be applied to life. These universal ideas have content. They include ethical principles, natural laws, and the pure concepts and ideas that give things meaning. They are at the core of our knowledge. Each individual has acquired a different composition of universal ideas. Everything individual about us is an extension of our core principles. They give meaning to our experience, build our character, and determine our action. The fifth basic factor is ethical content. Insofar as this intuitive content is a reference for action, it is the ethical content of the individual. All of our content of concepts and ideas is gained through intuition. It becomes ethical content when our thinking rises to this level to find the reason that will guide our action. Our action is then logically determined solely by this universal intuitive content. But this is not a dry intellectual experience. From out of this content, we experience an intuitive impulse to act. filled with truth, inspiration, and power. The sixth basic factor is the moral maxim. To let one's individual ethical content express itself in life is the moral maxim of the one who regards all other ethical principles as subordinate. We call this standpoint ethical individualism. By expressing our ideal ethical content in life, we are striving to realize our ideals in the world. Living to one's highest ideals brings us the greatest happiness. Soaring in the realm of pure concepts is the sweetest pleasure. Being empowered by truth, freedom, and the love for what we do becomes the most important thing for an ethical individualist. The seventh basic factor is the decisive factor. In a specific situation, the decisive factor in an intuitively determined action is to find the appropriate, completely individual intuition. Whoever is unable to intuitively determine action will have to depend on his predetermined character, obey others, or worst of all, remain a stereotype determined by a group identity. Now, certainly groups play their role in our development, but for many, it is time to move on. The decisive factor is to find the appropriate, completely individual intuition. It is appropriate when it is reality-based and does no harm. It is completely individual when we think it out for ourselves within our own universal content. It is intuitive when it appears as an impulse to act filled with love for the objective of our action. We love it because what we accomplish will realize our ideals. Here are the 7 basic factors of ethical individualism again. Every science has its own terminology that contains the knowledge of the field. By learning the terms of the philosophy of freedom, you will learn the science of freedom. Thanks for watching, and remember to live and let live.